Welcome to today's solution overview video. Today's session, I'll be doing an overview of the Webdocs Forms Management Solution and how it can help your organization in its digital transformation efforts and start to digitize forms, enforce workflows, and bring you to a new level of automation within your organization. Bringing digital business agility to your organization and being able to take control of your business forms and data is on the wish list for many organizations, large and small, in today's business world. With Webdocs Forms Management, it can help you with taking your paper and business documents and creating easy to use web browser based forms. And you can also see in today's presentation how it can help you make your forms easy to fill out and easy to use, but also how to easily create and deploy them with no programming required. Business rules can be applied to any form to enforce how data is filled out and guide users in the data collection process. There's also security in the forms to enforce who has access to certain data in sections to be able to fill out and show and hide. Internal and external access to forms, and also internal and external workflow processes. It can integrate with your ERP and other databases and line of business systems that you have inside of your organization, so it can reduce or fully eliminate the need for any rekeying of data. Establishing business rules and steps for approvals and reviews. Enforcing the path on how the data needs to be filled out in the form so the business gets the data they need the first time in the correct format. Time-based escalations at each step of the form's workflow to remove any bottlenecks in the process. This removes the need for forms to be watched by an individual at this point. Let the software and the solution take control of those workflow processes. And then when it comes to automation, automated workflows can help to remove the thought process for users and bring the power back to the business. Users don't need to know the process behind the scenes. Automation also helps with your process that needs enforcement for regulatory and compliance purposes. So you can show auditors who is involved in the process and when they are involved in the process as well. Forms automation can also guide users on what needs to be filled out in the form and completed in different fields and different sections that might need to be dependent on some of the certain information that they're filling out. Automatically, you can create PDF documents in the background, but you can also create fillable PDF documents, or if you have current fillable PDF processes, you don't need to recreate them. We can create a form to be able to fill in those documents with the automation task once a form is completed. So if you have government-based PDF forms that you can't reproduce, you can use the solution to be able to fill those in to be compliant. Send completed data to the back-end process, right? So from workflows, you can actually take that information and push it automatically to the different systems, or create the documents and send those out to the different individuals if you need to. There are so many use cases that the solution can solve. Today, you're going to see a few of the different use cases, but it could be any of these. These are sort of the top use cases, right? So order forms, purchase order processes, expense management, contract management, which is a really cool, exciting one because of external, internal workflow processes. A simple address change request form. We can do quality QA forms. Human resources onboarding process is a real big one, right? Because there's government compliant documents that need to be filled out and processed in there as well. Could be as simple as a credit application on a website. And you'll see some of those different ones. So we'll show you during the presentation here today in the quick overview, just some of those different functions that you can do there. With the solution, we break it down into three main functions that the application has, right? That the Forms Management Solution has available to you. The first one is being able to create easy to use forms with the drag and drop forms creator web browser based, so you can log in with that user and design those forms with no application that needs to be installed. Business logic is in there as well, so we have a business logic designer, unlimited forms, so you can create as many forms and as many workflows as you want. When it comes to the secure forms and document workflow part, we have forms workflow, and we also have document workflow capabilities built into the application with that business rules engine at the workflow level as well, with unlimited workflows. And then on the back end of that, we have the secure document archive and the connectors, right? So all the completed forms go into the core application in the background. And then if you need to connect to other systems via the file system connector, database connector, Microsoft Active Directory, or SAML connectors, they're all part of the solution. All right, I'm going to go into a live demonstration here so you can sort of see this here. So from a web browser interface standpoint, user-based access to be able to approve forms and also designing forms is all done via the web browser interface. You can log in. I'm a designer, so you can see that my user has the capability to be able to create projects or create workflows and forms. So a project is a container for a workflow and form. So if I scroll down here to my webinar demo forms and workflows, you click on that, you'll see I have different forms inside of here, but I also have different workflows. So again, this is a container. Projects are a container for these different options. Now, on a basic standpoint, you can have basic forms, right? So basic forms would be, you know, a form like this, which is just, I'll call it, this is a sort of a dual purpose form, right? It's data collection and document collection. So I can add files, I can add all that information there. And these forms, when we create them too, when they're deployed, they are deployable and usable on any device. So if you want to use them inside of a Windows device, or if you want to use them inside of on a tablet, iPad or whatever, and then also on a smartphone is the smallest profile that we go down to. So you have those different options. You see how it conforms to those different devices. Now, inside of a form like this, you can add files. There's different things you can do from mobile phone pictures and stuff like that. But I'm just going to put this in here so we can get this through. And if you see here, when I hit the submit button, we can actually do the Captcha. This has a Captcha option to it as well. You don't have to have this turned on, but this also lets you, use the Captcha option to be able to secure the forms down from any kind of bots or anything like that. That might be on the internet that you want to be able to protect yourself from. So that was sort of I'll call it a simple basic form, kind of thing with that Captcha option there. Now we have, I'll call it other basic forms as well, like basic, PO forms and stuff like that, where we can, create PO forms, automatically fill in data and do different things inside of here. And have subtotals and everything like that. So I can have, information in here, and then I can have it automatically, do totaling and all that good stuff in here too. So this is all part of the application that it actually has some of the business logic in here, so you can create those different pieces. You can do signature authorizations too. So if you need to do user ID and password based signatures for authenticated users, or if you want to be able to do a signature collection from a pad or from a device, you can do that here with the signature options. So many different things you can do there. From a document filling standpoint, so we always create a PDF of the document to go into the repository, but we also have the capability to fill in backend PDF documents. So like in this case here, this is the W4. I'm collecting this information here and walking through the process inside of here to be able to fill in the data on the backend document in this case, right? And then we can actually review that information inside of here as a sort of a step, to ensure accuracy, but also for compliance reasons, we can put that information there as well. So if you see here, I'm going to show this here from a design standpoint. When we're creating these forms from a designer standpoint, this is really easy to use Designer. I'll drag and drop components. You can drag different controls in here if you need to. You can configure these controls on this left-hand panel for different kinds of things that you might want to do with it. In this case here, there's rules here that you can do through the rule builder. So we have different rule builder options here, and then through the PDF mapping option here too, you can upload your templates And then you can really easily map your fields here with the visual designer. So when we go into here and map those functions, you can actually click on them and then map the different field functions to the form fields that you created. So all you have to do is click on those. So very simplified process around that. And then there's configuration to the form you can do as well, so you can make things accessible and what you want to show to the users and stuff like that during this process. So very easy to use design function from that standpoint. Now, the last piece I want to show you here from an overview standpoint is the workflow functionality. Now, workflow functionality can be very simple. It could be very, hey, this goes to a single person, this goes to this person. But you can also get in here and say, hey, this process here goes into and starts like a PO requisition process, and then it goes to different people dependent on what we see inside of there. So we can actually put what we call preconditions inside the form to be able to process through. So you can actually create these different steps by clicking on here, adding preconditions, adding, sending, email if you want to, notifications at each different step or on completion. You can do those different things. And then you can also configure these steps by clicking on them and adding assignments and users to these different steps, or roles if you want multiple people that to have access to them. So there's many different things that you can do inside of here, and you can think of a workflow as the glue for all of this, right? You can create a workflow that has a form or forms involved in it that might have business rules applied to it, and then on the back end map PDF data and then process that through the system. So you do have all those different options. I want to thank everyone for attending today's session. If you have any questions, this was just a high-level overview of the Webdocs Forms Management Solution. Please feel free to reach out to us and we can schedule a more in-depth one-on-one and maybe even create one of your forms inside the solution to be able to play around with. Thank you for your time.